Welcome to the visual language of statistics. Data visualization is not just about making pretty pictures, it's about transforming numbers into insights, patterns into understanding, and complexity into clarity. The human brain processes visual information 60,000 times faster than text. A well-designed visualization can reveal patterns that would take hours to discover in spreadsheets. Today, we'll master the 4 essential statistical visualizations. Histograms that show distribution shapes. Box plots that reveal data structure. Density plots that smooth out patterns. And skewness visualizations that detect asymmetry. These aren't just graphs, they're your windows into the soul of your data. Revealing stories that summary statistics alone could never tell. Master these visualizations, and you'll see data in ways most people never imagine possible. Why is visualization so crucial? Consider this mind-blowing example. 4 completely different datasets can have identical summary statistics, same means, same standard deviations, same correlations. Looking at just the numbers, you'd think they were the same data. But when visualized, they tell completely different stories. One might be perfectly linear, another curved, another containing outliers, and another completely chaotic. This is the power and necessity of visualization. It reveals what numbers hide. Statistics summarize, but visualizations illuminate. Numbers compress information efficiently, but visualizations expose structure, patterns, outliers, and relationships that summary statistics mask. We'll master 4 essential statistical visualizations, each revealing different aspects of your data. Histograms show distribution shape. Are your values clustered or spread out? Symmetric or skewed? They're your first stop for understanding data structure. Box plots display the 5-number summary visually: minimum, Q1, median, Q3, and maximum, perfect for comparing groups and spotting outliers. Density plots smooth out the histogram's jagged edges, revealing the underlying probability distribution with elegant curves. Skewness visualizations detect and quantify asymmetry. Is your data pulled toward higher or lower values? Each visualization serves a unique purpose, and professional analysts use them in combination to gain complete understanding. A histogram is the workhorse of statistical visualization, your first and most important tool for understanding data distribution. It divides your data range into bins or intervals, then displays the frequency of values in each bin as bars. The height of each bar represents how many data points fall in that interval. Histograms reveal the distribution's shape. Is it symmetric like a bell curve, skewed to one side, or multimodal with multiple peaks? They show the center where most data clusters, the spread across the range, and whether you have one mode or multiple concentration points. No other visualization gives you such immediate, comprehensive insight into your data's structure. Let's build a histogram from scratch. Step 1. We start with raw data, in this case, 28 values ranging from 23 to 52. These might represent test scores, product prices, or any continuous variable. First, we plot each value as a point on a number line. Notice how some areas have dense clusters of points while others are sparse. This clustering pattern is what we want to quantify and visualize through the histogram. Step 2. Define bins or intervals. We divide the data range into equal width bins. Here we are using 7 bins, each spanning 5 units. The bin boundaries are marked by these yellow dashed lines. Choosing the right number of bins is crucial. Too few bins oversimplify the distribution and hide important patterns, while too many bins create noise and make patterns harder to see. A common rule of thumb is to use the square root of your sample size, though this can be adjusted based on your data characteristics. Step 3. Count how many data points fall into each bin. This is the heart of the histogram, converting raw data into frequencies. We count 3 values in the first bin from 20 to 25, 6 values in the next bin from 25 to 30, 8 values in the central bin from 30 to 35, and so on. These frequency counts will become the heights of our histogram bars, revealing the distribution pattern. Step 4. Draw the bars. Each bar's width spans its bin interval, and the height represents the frequency count. Taller bars indicate more data points in that range, while shorter bars show fewer values. Watch as our raw data transforms into a beautiful histogram revealing the underlying distribution pattern. The bars touch each other because we are dealing with continuous data. There are no gaps between intervals. This connected appearance distinguishes histograms from bar charts, which show categorical data with separated bars. Histogram shapes tell powerful stories. A symmetric or normal distribution forms the classic bell curve. Data clusters symmetrically around the mean, which equals the median. This is the most common distribution in nature, from human heights to measurement errors. A right-skewed distribution has a long tail extending to higher values, common with income data or house prices where most values are low but some are extremely high. The mean exceeds the median because extreme values pull it right. A bimodal distribution shows 2 distinct peaks, suggesting you have 2 different populations mixed together, perhaps male and female heights, or 2 different product quality batches. Recognizing these shapes immediately tells you what statistical methods are appropriate and what your data represents. The box plot, also called a box and whisker plot, is one of the most information-dense visualizations ever created. In a single compact graphic, it displays the 5-number summary: minimum, first quartile, median, third quartile, and maximum. This reveals the data's center through the median, the spread through the box and whiskers, skewness through asymmetric box positioning, and outliers as individual points. Box plots excel at comparing multiple groups side by side. You can instantly see which group has higher values, greater variability, or more outliers. They're the go-to visualization for robust statistical analysis because they're unaffected by extreme values and work beautifully with skewed data. Let's dissect every component of a box plot. We'll build it piece by piece so you understand exactly what each element represents and why it matters. First, the box itself represents the interquartile range or IQR, the middle 50% of your data. The left edge is Q1 at 24.0, the 25th percentile. The right edge is Q3 at 44.0, the 75th percentile. This box contains half your data points, showing where the typical values lie. The width of the box reveals the data's spread. A wider box means more variability in the central values, while a narrow box indicates tight clustering. The thick red line inside the box marks the median at 33.0, the 50th percentile. This is your data's exact middle value. Half the data falls below it, half above. The median's position within the box is incredibly informative. If it's centered, your distribution is symmetric. If it's closer to Q1, you have right skewness with a long tail of high values. If it's closer to Q3, you have left skewness. This visual asymmetry detection is instantaneous with box plots. The whiskers extend from the box edges to show the data's range, but with important limits. The left whisker reaches to 12, the minimum value in our data. The right whisker extends to 56.0, which is the maximum value that falls within 1.5 times the IQR from Q3. Whiskers don't necessarily go to the absolute maximum if there are outliers. This 1.5 times IQR rule is the standard outlier detection method. The whiskers show you the range of normal variation in your data. Finally, outliers are plotted as individual points. In our data, we have outliers at 85. These values exceed Q3 plus 1.5 times the IQR, making them statistically unusual. Outliers aren't automatically errors, they might be legitimate extreme values, data entry mistakes, or members of a different population. The box plot identifies them visually so you can investigate their cause and decide whether to include them in your analysis. This visual outlier identification is one of the box plot's most valuable features. Box plots truly shine when comparing multiple groups. Here we are comparing product quality scores across 3 factories. Factory A in blue shows high quality with scores clustered tightly around 94 consistent, reliable production. Factory B in green has a similar median but much wider spread, indicating inconsistent quality control. Notice it also has an outlier at 105. Suggesting occasional exceptional performance but also implying unpredictability. Factory C in red shows consistently lower quality scores around 80, but with tight control and no outliers. At a glance, we can see Factory E offers the best combination of high quality and consistency. This comparison would be much harder with tables of statistics. The density plot, technically called a kernel density estimate or KDE, is the elegant cousin of the histogram. Instead of discrete bars, it shows a smooth continuous curve that represents the probability distribution of your data. The total area under the curve always equals 1, representing 100% probability. Density plots reveal the underlying distribution shape without the artificial binning of histograms. They're perfect for showing the data's true, continuous nature, comparing overlapping distributions, and presenting polished, publication-ready visualizations. Think of a density plot as what you'd get if you smoothed out a histogram's jagged edges to reveal the fundamental probability distribution beneath. Here's the same data shown 2 ways. On the left, a histogram with discrete bars showing frequency counts in bins. The bars create a somewhat jagged appearance, and the shape depends on our choice of bin width. On the right, a density plot shows the same underlying distribution as a smooth curve. The curve flows naturally, revealing the bimodal nature of our data. 2 distinct peaks suggesting 2 subpopulations. Notice how the density plot makes it easier to see the overall shape and the relationship between the 2 modes. The filled area under the curve represents probability. Regions with higher curves have higher probability of observing values there. Density plots offer several key advantages. They eliminate arbitrary binning decisions, no worrying about how many bins to use or where boundaries fall. They provide smooth, continuous representation of the underlying distribution. They make it easy to overlay multiple distributions for comparison without the visual clutter of overlapping bars. They're ideal for comparing groups with different sample sizes. And they produce professional, publication-ready visualizations that look polished in reports and presentations. Skewness measures how asymmetric your distribution is, whether it leans to one side or the other. It's a critical diagnostic that tells you if your data follows a symmetric pattern like the normal distribution, or if it's pulled toward higher or lower values. Skewness is calculated using this formula involving the cube of standardized deviations. But what matters is interpreting the result. Understanding skewness is crucial because many statistical tests assume symmetric data, and using them on skewed data can lead to incorrect conclusions. Skewness also reveals real-world phenomena. Income is right-skewed because there's no upper limit. But there is a lower limit at 0. Let's explore the 3 types of skewness in detail. Symmetric distributions have 0 skewness. The mean and median are identical. Right-skewed distributions have skewness greater than 0. The mean is pulled toward the longer right tail. Left-skewed distributions have skewness less than 0, where the mean is pulled toward the left tail. Here's how to interpret skewness values. If the absolute value of skewness is less than 0.5, your distribution is approximately symmetric and you can safely use mean and standard deviation. Between 0.5 and 1 indicates moderate skewness. You should be cautious with assumptions of normality. Above 1 means highly skewed data where you should use median and IQR instead of mean and standard deviation. For highly skewed data, consider transformations like logarithm or square root to make the distribution more symmetric. Before analysis, these transformations can make your data suitable for methods that assume normality. In healthcare, these visualizations save lives. This emergency room wait time analysis shows a right-skewed distribution. The median wait is 31 minutes, reasonable for most patients. However, the histogram reveals a long right tail, with some patients waiting over 53 minutes at the 75th percentile. The box plot confirms this skewness and identifies outliers waiting dangerously long. This visualization prompts administrators to investigate. Are certain conditions causing delays? Do we need more staff during peak hours? The skewness tells us the average wait time would be misleading, the median is more informative. These visualizations turn raw data into actionable insights for improving patient care. In finance, overlapping density plots compare investment options brilliantly. The narrow blue curve represents conservative investments, low volatility clustered around 5%. Return, rarely touching negative territory. The green moderate investment curve is wider, centered at 8%, with some risk of loss but generally positive. The wide red aggressive curve peaks at 12% but spreads dramatically, high potential returns but significant downside risk. The width of each curve represents volatility or risk. Where curves overlap with the zero line shows probability of losses. This visualization lets investors instantly compare risk-return profiles and choose investments matching their tolerance. It's far more informative than just reporting average returns. In education, box plots reveal program effectiveness powerfully. These side-by-side box plots compare test scores before and after a teaching intervention. Before intervention, the median score was 66 with wide variability. After intervention, the median jumped to 74, and the box narrowed, showing more consistent performance. The entire distribution shifted right toward higher scores. Notice how the box plot reveals not just that scores improved on average, but that they improved across the board. The minimum, Q1, median, Q3, and maximum all increased. The narrower box shows students are more consistently achieving mastery. This visualization provides compelling evidence of program success to administrators, teachers, and parents. Choosing the right visualization depends on your specific needs. First, are you showing a single distribution or comparing groups? For single distributions, use histograms or density plots. For comparing multiple groups, box plots or overlaid density plots work best. Second, do you need to show exact frequencies? Histograms preserve this information, while density plots sacrifice precision for smooth, elegant appearance. Third, are outliers important? Box plots explicitly identify outliers as individual points, making them perfect when outliers matter. Fourth, do you need to assess symmetry or skewness? Density plots and histograms show distribution shape clearly, while box plots offer quick skewness checks through median position within the box. Follow these best practices for professional visualizations. Always label axes clearly with units. Never make readers guess what they're looking at. Use color purposefully to highlight important patterns, not just for decoration. Include sample size so viewers understand the data's reliability. Choose histogram bin width carefully. Too few bins hide patterns. Too many create noise. For small samples under 20, show individual data points rather than just summary statistics. Use consistent scales when comparing groups so differences are fairly represented. Consider your audience's statistical knowledge. Density plots might confuse non-technical viewer who'd understand histograms better. Finally, combine multiple visualization types to tell the complete story. A histogram showing distribution shape alongside a box plot revealing outliers provides comprehensive insight. Avoid these common visualization mistakes. Mistake 1. Wrong bin width in histograms. Too few bins oversimplify your data and hide important patterns like bimodality. Too many bins create noisy, hard to interpret jagged patterns. Start with the square root of your sample size as bin count. Then adjust visually. Mistake 2. Ignoring outliers. Extreme outliers compress your main distribution, making it hard to see patterns in typical values. Use box plots that show outliers separately, or consider log scales for extremely skewed data. Mistake 3. Inappropriate comparisons. Using different scales for different groups makes visual comparison misleading. Not noting different sample sizes implies equal reliability. Always use identical scales for fair comparison and clearly note sample sizes. Once you master the basics, explore these advanced visualizations. Violin plots combine box plots with density plots, showing both the 5-number summary and the full distribution shape, best of both worlds. Ridgeline plots stack multiple density plots, perfect for showing how distributions change over time or across categories. Think temperature distributions across months. QQ plots test whether your data follows a normal distribution by comparing quantiles, essential for validating statistical assumptions. HEATMAPs show two-dimensional frequency distributions or correlation matrices using color intensity. Powerful for multivariate analysis. These advanced tools build on the fundamentals we've covered today. Let's crystallize your knowledge with these key takeaways. Histograms reveal distribution shape, modality, and spread. They should be your first step in any data analysis, showing patterns that summary statistics hide. Box plots display the 5-number summary and identify outliers explicitly, making them perfect for comparing multiple groups and detecting unusual values. Density plots provide smooth, elegant distribution views ideal for overlaying and comparing groups without visual clutter. Skewness detection reveals asymmetry that's critical for choosing appropriate statistical methods. Use median and IQR for skewed data, mean and standard deviation for symmetric data. Master these 4 visualization types, and you'll see patterns and insights that most analysts miss. Remember, a picture is worth 1,000 numbers. Visualization reveals patterns that are invisible in spreadsheets. Bimodality, skewness, outliers, and trends emerge visually before they're detectable numerically. Visualizations detect anomalies and outliers instantly, helping you clean data and identify special cases. They communicate complex statistical concepts simply to non-technical audiences. Everyone understands a box plot showing improvement. Visualizations validate statistical assumptions visually. Is your data normal enough for parametric tests? They guide your choice of appropriate analysis methods. Skewed data demands different approaches than symmetric data. Finally, visualizations persuade stakeholders with compelling visual evidence more effectively than tables of numbers ever could. Now you possess the complete visual language of statistics. Your toolkit contains histograms for revealing distribution shape, box plots for comparing groups and identifying outliers, density plots for elegant overlays, and skewness detection for guiding analysis choices. Use these tools to explore data before formal analysis. Visualization often reveals issues that would invalidate statistical tests. Use them to detect patterns and anomalies invisible in raw numbers. Use them to validate assumptions about normality and symmetry. Use them to communicate insights effectively to any audience, technical or not. Most importantly, use them to make data-driven decisions confidently, knowing you truly understand your data's story. You are now equipped to see data not as abstract numbers, but as visual stories waiting to be told. Go forth and visualize with confidence.